If you take a seat, so we can get started. Okay, I'm just going to take this off for a second just to talk because it's easier. I'm not going to say a whole lot. I suppose I first of all just welcome everybody today. As you know, what we're doing is we're launching two books today. One is Communicating Europe booklet, which is the poster behind me on European Partnership in Training and Education. Basically, the European Partnership booklet is to highlight the projects that Cork CETB has been involved in since it was set up in 2013. So some of the projects in the booklet are ones that have just been completed in the last year or so. Some of them are halfway through, and some of them are literally just starting this year. But we wanted to give an idea of the variety of projects that the ETB has been actively involved in. The second thing we wanted to do as well, I suppose, is not just to highlight the KA2 project, innovation projects, best practice projects, but also to highlight the fact that the ETB sends a significant number of students abroad every year to do work placement and sometimes to do training as well. And I suppose I've always regarded that as being the backbone of our European project programme because, you know, firstly we have to send the students, make sure that they're getting good quality training, good quality placement when they're abroad, and then also then to turn to teachers to give teachers the opportunity to do things like work shadowing abroad, but also to be involved in specific projects, whether they have to do with digital technology, whether they have to do with sustainability, values, for example, which is one of the new ones we've just started. We have a project at the moment looking at virtual reality for special needs students. We have projects looking at digital technology. So there's quite a wide variety. And if you look at the booklet, you'll see we've divided it into the main pillars of the current Erasmus Plus programme. So we have projects basically under all of the main pillars of the programme at the present time. Okay. So I suppose that's the first thing we want to do today is to launch that booklet. I should say as well that the booklet has three intents really. The first is to celebrate the projects that we've been working on and that we've done. The second intent, I suppose, is to promote projects within the ETB so that as many colleges and indeed schools as possible can get involved in European project activity. But then thirdly, because it's the Communicating Europe initiative, it's also about informing the public of what we do. Because Communicating Europe basically is about making the public aware of how the European Union contributes to their daily lives, if you like. And a lot of people might not even be aware that projects that we're involved in are funded by the European Union. So it's also to create that awareness. Okay? The second thing we're going to do then within this morning is we're also going to launch the ebook for one of the projects that we're currently working on, which is the RED project, or the Re-evaluating Digital Technology. And that project has now run for 3 years. It should have been 2 years, but thanks to COVID, it's been 3. And this week we're having the final management meeting of that project here in Cork. Unfortunately, two of our partners couldn't be here because of COVID. That would be our Romanian and German partners. But we are lucky that we have our partners from Estonia, from Spain, and from Turkey with us. And so we're going to launch that book as well, just as an example, I suppose, of some of the work that's happening within the projects. Okay. So I suppose you don't need to listen to me. So I'm going to first of all call on our Director of Adult Education, John Fitzgibbon, just to say a few words. And then we have two recorded messages, one from our national agency and one from the Minister of State in the Department of Foreign Affairs. And then towards the end we will take the RED project booklet. Okay? So if I can ask John maybe to say. Sure.
Thanks, Chair. And if you don't mind, I'll take myself as well. Thanks, Chair. Chair said most of it. I suppose the purpose behind the booklet is twofold, and it's celebrate the projects that are represented in there. And they're only a sample of some of the projects that are coming towards completion or just being completed, and to mark the learnings from them. But I think more importantly is maybe to serve as a stimulus for other people right across our organisation to look at areas where there's potential for further projects, for further engagement. I think when Ger asked me to write the foreword in it, I think the one thing that resonated with me was very much that, you know, we need to be more looking outwards as educators and looking at our partners across Europe. Not just to see what we can learn from them, even though that's hugely important, but also to maybe help and assist partners in Europe in other areas and where we're strong. And there's many areas where we have strengths that I think we can bring to those engagements, to bring to those relationships. And also, to be very clear that we're citizens of Cork, we're citizens of Ireland, we're citizens of Europe. And that European dimension, if anything, in the last number of years, through the events of Brexit, through the turmoil that we've all experienced in that over the last 20 months and that since COVID has come to visit our shore, we have to recognise it visited all of Europe. And some of the things that we've benefited from being citizens of Europe are the collegiality and the strengths that come from being part of that European community. Up to 2 years ago, and that the European projects were very much centre-based and college-based, led by colleges, and they still very much are. And I think that's one of the strengths of them. But we took a decision 2 years ago, and that just before COVID came into being, and that to put in place a European projects coordinator, and that to strengthen, enhance, and grow that area. And Ger came into the role at probably the worst time that anybody could come into any role, and that because one of the key elements within these is the ability to go and meet face to face with your partners across Europe and talk and discuss and engage, and also to experience life within another country, within another context. That has been severely curtailed up, as we know, for the last 20 months. We're hopeful, we're going to be optimistic that 2022 is going to allow us to re-engage in those face-to-face and in-person activities across a range of projects. Even yesterday, Ger and I were discussing okay, maybe with a little bit of trepidation, and that of events in the early part of next year, and then where we hope to go back and visit some of our partners again face to face. I think this is it's a light booklet in terms of size, but I think what's inside it and that is a signpost to all those things that have been done, are being done. But more importantly, I think a stimulus, and that maybe for ideas of what we can do in the future. I'm delighted that we have some of our partners here from some of the projects, and that it's a pity we couldn't have more, but the circumstances are what they are. So delighted to be able to say a few words this morning, and that it is something I think that is valuable for people in our own organisation, but in the wider public as well, to see what we do. And also that there are opportunities for staff and students to engage in these projects across their time in Cork ETB. And I think again, like one of the things that we have started to build over the last 2 years, and that is a broader range of our services being involved. That it's not just confined to our colleges, but we're involving people across our adult community and services as well. And so I think that's a very positive thing. So it's not a heavy read, and it's an interesting read. I know most people have probably just flicked through it at this stage because it is literally hot off the presses since yesterday. I hope that in the future, and that this will be a more regular publication, and will also be a reflection of the website that we're working towards, where all our projects and that will be reflected there, and people will be able to dip in and develop them. So, thank you, Ger, for asking me to come this morning. Well done.
Thanks, thank you. Okay, we have just a message from the Minister of State and the Department of Foreign Affairs. So just bear with me 1 second.
Hi everyone, I'm Thomas Byrne and I'm the Minister of State for European Affairs. Unfortunately, I'm not able to be with you today, but I'm very grateful nonetheless to be able to speak to you, as this is a project that sits at the heart of many passions of mine. Let me begin by briefly talking about the Communicating Europe initiative, which helped fund the booklet being launched today. The Communicating Europe initiative aims to promote dialogue about Ireland's relationship with the European Union, as well as raise awareness of the role that the European Union plays in our daily lives. We often hear about the big picture, how important the EU is for fighting COVID-19 or tackling climate change. But we hear less, I would say, about how the European Union positively affects us in our individual daily lives. But the breadth of the Communicating Europe projects this year, 27 in total, shows just how rich and positive that impact can be. Projects have ranged from children phoning into a radio show to discuss the policies and politics of the EU, to an academic discussion on the connection between the EU and peace building in Northern Ireland. Next year, of course, we will be continuing the initiative, and I would encourage you to participate. As some of you will be aware, in January 1972, Ireland signed the Treaty of Accession to join what was then the European Economic Community. This was ratified by the people of Ireland by over 80% support in the subsequent referendum. So next year, a major focus for Communicating Europe will be on highlighting and celebrating 50 years of being a member of the European Union. So if you're interested, do keep an eye on our websites and our social media channels. I'm certainly hopeful we'll receive another application from the Cork Education and Training Board. Their connections to Europe are both deep and impressive. Through Cork ETB's engagement with fellow institutions across the European Union, they benefit from many advantages. Students have access to the Erasmus Plus programme, as well as opportunities for work placement assignments in a host of EU partner organisations. By connecting with peer institutions, Cork ETB is at the cutting edge of educational best practice and innovation, while also being part of the conversation about how best to use digital technologies such as virtual reality. I've mentioned that the project sits at an important crossroads of the issues that I'm passionate about. Education in all its forms is crucial for the dignity and confidence of people, as well as being the gateway for upward mobility and personal accomplishment and our economic and social goals as a nation. This is especially true of vocational and skills education, which this booklet focuses on. Vocational education gives people a second chance and a way to change the course of their career and even their lives. But what's at stake here is more than individual issues or even local Cork issues. Vocational programs like those offered by Cork ETB are tangible examples of what we will need to do much more over the next decade as we transition to the European economy. Across Europe, ordinary citizens are having their say on what they think Europe's future should look like. One of the most endorsed ideas in that discussion is that the EU must ensure its climate change strategy includes a just transition that protects workers and enables retraining and upskilling and protects communities as well. I'm heartened by this show of solidarity from fellow citizens, but realise it's not too easy to speak about solidarity and just transition in the abstract. What this booklet shows is that what those ideas look like in practice, and how what is being done in Cork ETB may even serve as a model for tackling the challenges that we will face as we transition to a new economy over the next decade. So I just want to finish by saying congratulations, co-gorgeous, on such an impressive booklet, and to thank you all for the important work you continue to do in Cork Education and Training Board. Gormagwith agus Bergo.
I should have said about a week ago the Minister was hoping to come here in person, but in Ireland COVID restrictions changed again last week. So people who were working from their offices returned to home and so on, and it became more restrictive in terms of who can come in and visit. The same thing applied to our national agency. They were supposed to be coming down today, but they also returned to working from home last Friday. So they have also sent a video message. Our national agency is called Lergus, and it's from the program manager in Lergus. Just give me 1 second.
Hello, my name is Deirdre Finlay and I'm the Programme Manager here at Lergus. Lergus is the national agency for the Erasmus Plus programme in the area of vocational education and training and other fields, and also the national agency for the European Solidarity Corps. So I've been invited to say a few words at today's event, which is the launch of the booklet regarding engagement in European projects, which has been funded by the Communicating Europe initiative out of the Department of Foreign Affairs, and also the launch of the e-book coming from a KA2 project entitled Re-evaluating Digital Technology to Enhance e-learning. Well, my role at Lergus is that I'm program manager, and so I know that over the years, many of the team have engaged with Cork ETB to advise and to help further develop projects that have been explored and indeed executed. So I just wanted to congratulate all of the staff and students who participated in so many mobility projects over the years, and indeed longer term and more strategic partnership projects also. It's a real testament to the amount of work and learning and innovation that has taken place. And from reviewing the booklet that's been produced for today's event, and from seeing the amount of projects, I think this really, really meets the objective of the Communication Europe initiative, which is to raise awareness amongst the public of the value of the EU in our daily life. And in terms of your daily lives, I can see, and I hope that continues to be the case, that the innovative practices that have been learnt and the enhancement of attractive offerings for students have been enhanced by the EU project. So I can see that really tied the objective of the initiative with your own work and your own project execution. So that was just a word of welcome and thanks from me. Thank you for the engagement over the years. I'm really pleased in the booklet to see arrangement of ideas and thinking around the three priority areas that are very important for us now within Erasmus+. They are inclusion, sustainability, and digitalisation. And I know that the launch of the ebook today very much falls into the area of digitalisation. And I hope that you continue to refine and learn and share and disseminate all that great information and that transnational work that's taking place so that we can learn more about digitalisation and what that really means in education and exchange. So that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of your launch event and thank you. Slán.
Okay, so I suppose it would be unfair to have an event like this without asking at least one of our partners to say a few words. So CIMJ has agreed to say a few words. Just an introduction, CIMJ is working in basically a high school in Turkey, in Kuşadası, but she's also done work with European projects for the directorate in her area and also for an NGO within the area. So she has a lot of experience in working with projects and different types of projects. So I'll ask CIMJ.
So hi, I know most of you, but I, as George said, work in a high school in Kuşadası, Turkey, which is on the west coast. So my name is Simge and well, it was a random day in 2008 when I was called by the Director of Education in the area and literally thrown into the world of European projects. And since then, it became a lifestyle, I would say, and completely by coincidence, St. John's Central College was a partner in that first project that I was thrown into. I was like, Jer knows very well, I was literally thrown into thinking, what am I doing here? But it became a lifestyle, and since 2008, I think we developed it from a basic Grundtvig adult education project to, 5 or 6 projects at the moment, Erasmus projects, from lifelong learning program to Erasmus program, and now the new Erasmus program that was launched in 2020 last year. And we also, as a school and as a directorate, host the students for work placement for the last 7-8 years, before COVID, of course. So we have been hosting 4, 8, sometimes 10 students every year, tourism students, because I'm living in a touristic area, mostly tourism students and wet nursing students and a few applied sciences students, if I remember correctly. And we host them there for 3-4 weeks. We always communicate, so it's always enriching both for our students and for the students of St. John's and the ETB. And since the projects have been moved to the Education and Training Boards in 2015, if I'm right, probably. So the ETB is our partner, and we would really, as George said, I'm working with the directorate, the school, and also an NGO. So we are really hoping to enhance our partnership, host more students, do more projects, which we really are happy to do. Thank you.
I'm just going to close some of these. Okay, so for the final part of our presentation this morning, we also need to launch the ebook for the RED project. So Miriam Walsh is going to, well, Miriam did most of the work on the design and the setting up of the ebook. Obviously all of the partners contributed in terms of content, but Miriam is going to do a short presentation on the ebook. Miriam has recorded the presentation, but she's here in person as well, so we'll play the recording, and I'm sure she'll be quite happy to answer any questions or any. Okay. So.
I'm very excited that we can finally share the launch of the RED Project book, Reevaluating Digital Technology in Education, which has been created over the last few years by all the project schools. So before I go on to this, start with why this project happened and how we ended up having the book. So quite a while ago, almost 5 years ago to be precise, on December 21st, 2016, we had someone deliver training in our college. Yes, I went through all my photos to try and root out this photo. So we had a fellow AD in APLS, Sean O'Grady from Galway, deliver some training to our staff here in St. John's College about technology and how useful it was, or maybe not. So this got Ger Brennan thinking about a possible Erasmus project. He had his Erasmus hat on and was thinking about where this might lead in the future, and he started writing that project brief. So a couple of years later, I was asked did I want to become part of the project, and yes, of course. The fact that the idea came from where it did definitely sold it for me, but also technology is something that I'm generally interested in, and I wanted to explore this further. So that is Ger, not really Ger, and him thinking up that idea. And thankfully we had lots of schools who are our partner schools that wanted to become part of that big idea. So when I was involved at the start, I attended some of the meetings and we discussed the output of this project, which was to become a digital book. I had previously published books, so I was interested in seeing how this would develop as a project. This is where we got to. So we explored different learning styles, and we had 4 chapters in total, and then we added in an additional one, which ended up being the experiences of COVID-19. This obviously wasn't an initial outcome of the project. None of us could imagine back then where we would lead to, but we did add this in our last meeting. So when we were looking at learning styles, we focused on some of those new and emerging tech, accessibility, universal design for learning, and we shared lots of ideas from across our schools, and these all feature in that book. We also discussed lesson plans, and this is one of my favorite parts of the book because we have so many different lessons from right across each of the schools, everything from history to computer science, music, technology, English language learning. And what I really like about this book is that all those lessons are free to teachers around the world when they download it to try out in their classrooms, and some of them have been recorded in there as well. And then, we started building the project and building the book, and we explored lots of other apps such as Kahoots and Socrates and augmented reality and virtual reality. We had a lot of really useful discussions across the partner meetings. And then COVID happened and we found ourselves behind the computers for a while, longer than anyone would have liked. So we decided to add in that extra feature and appreciate the efforts that our teachers have gone through and our students over the last couple of years, and that also features in the end of the book. So in total, the book is quite large. It's close to 70 pages long, and it features everything that has been shared through the project so we can share it with our global audience. And you might be wondering where you can get that book. It is currently available through that QR code. It will be embedded on our Red Project website when that is live. It is also available on Apple Books and is coming to soon to the Amazon bookstore on Kindle. Thank you.
Brilliant. Do you want to add anything, or does anyone
No,
ask any?
just that it is available. We didn't think it would become available, but it is on the Apple Bookstore for anybody that wants to download it now. And the QR code, and I can share the link.
And in doing that, Miriam put it into my head during the week that because we have a PDF version of this one as well, that we'll also put this up on the two stores to make it more widely available to the general public. So we'll look at that in the next few days and get it up there. Miriam has been explaining to me that this time of year, coming into Christmas, that it takes a little bit longer for them to approve it. So it might take a week or two, but it will be up there. Okay. The other thing I just want to say about the digital technology project as we come towards the end of it is that Simon Doherty has done a lot of work on the website, and the website will be up within the next few days. Let's say it's the domain name was given to us this morning I think, last night. So we have the domain name now for it. So the pages are being uploaded at the moment. So within a few days we'll have the website up and running. And also, just for people who aren't involved in the project, we also have a project YouTube channel, and all of the presentations that were made over the course of the 2 years, there's about 50 presentations in total, are all up there. Some of them we might have not been as great with the technology in terms of recording the sound, but literally every presentation is there. So anybody can go in and see what the project work was, what people did in the, when they were abroad. I suppose it's something that I've become more conscious of maybe in the last 2 years, of the need to actually show the work that you're doing. Because the people who are involved in projects know that when you go to Estonia or when you go to Turkey or when you go to Spain, that you don't go there on holidays, and that you do go to the school, you do actually make presentations, you do listen to what other people have to say. But sometimes perhaps I wasn't as good at conveying that to others and making sure that everybody realises that that's what's happening. So I think this time with the Red Project, we were very careful to collect everything. And I think it's probably the project that I've been involved with that has collected the most in terms of presentations, data, PowerPoints, summaries, and so on. So I hope that will allow others to gain from it into the future, and that the website will be a platform to get at all of that stuff, if you like. Just lastly, just a few people I want to thank. Oh, sorry, one other thing I should have said is that I'm also happy today to see that we've quite a number of people here who are involved in the virtual reality project, which is another project that we're only at the first year has just finished. And quite a number of members of the inclusion group have been involved in that, including Anne Burns, Carol, Siobhan. And that's a project that we hope as the year progresses that we'll be able to roll that out within the CETB and be able to use some of the virtual reality stuff with students here. But it's basically intended to make it easier for students with needs to learn in a work-based environment. So it's to try to take away the barriers of them being able to go to a work placement and being able to engage in that type of activity. So hopefully that's something that will also come to fruition. Just in finish, I just want to thank one or two people in particular. I want to thank Paula for allowing us to use the facilities here in St. John's and for making sure that we do it in a COVID safe way. I want to thank in particular our guests from the Red Project for all the work they've done over the last 2 years, but also for being with us here in Cork. And also, I suppose, everybody who made a presentation this morning, and also, I suppose, those who have been involved in the projects over the years, seeing that we're in St. John's, I'll pick on St. John's, but people like Jim Kelleher, like Redmond, who've been very actively involved and have helped to push projects forward. And then I suppose last thing I want to say is that projects only happen if everybody engages. It has to be from the top down or the bottom up, whichever way you want to look at it. But we have to have engagement from the ETB, there has to be a buy-in from the principals, there has to be a buy-in from the teachers and also from the students. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen. So I suppose, we're grateful that so many people have. And,